What is going on, everybody? Zach from the Horrorcore here, talking about a movie released in 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie was directed by the late and great Wes Craven and starred Heather Langenkamp and gave Johnny Depp his first major role. Plus, it stapled Robert Englund to be Freddy for every appearance of the character from the first movie to the TV show to Freddy vs. Jason. Sadly, he didn't come back for the 2010 remake. So before we get into this movie, let me note that much like a lot of good horror movies from the 80s, it got countless sequels, some good, some bad. It got a remake and even a TV show. So let's just jump into this movie. It starts and we get to see a little bit of Freddy chilling in his boiler room, making his glove, doing what all undead child murderers do in their spare time, I guess. So we skip to a shot of the school. We get to see a group of our future victims who are all sharing the same dreams. But we don't find that out until later when Rod shows up uninvited for a cheap little scare. Later in the night, we get to witness two great shots. The Freddy coming in through the wall scene, which was 100% a practical effect and somehow held up 31 years later compared to the 2010 remake, which used CGI. And of course, the oh-so-great Death by Walls death scene. Of course, Rod is blamed for Tina's death, and of course, Nancy's dad is a cop. Halloween already did that. The police are looking for him, but he pulls Nancy into a bush to tell her he's innocent while she's walking to school. Can't get much creepier than that. He's then ambushed by the police and arrested. Poor guy. And now, of course, we get to see Nancy fall asleep in class. We see Nancy's friend, Tina, being pulled around the hall in a body bag. That's a dark-ass scene. Freddy slowly and surely kind of baits her to a dead end. And right before he plays Fruit Ninja with her face, she burns her arm on a pipe and wakes up screaming in class. Way to go, Freddy. Now she isn't going to get a date to homecoming. Next, Nancy goes to see Rod in jail to get some intriguing news about a certain dream killer who Rod's also been having some run-ins with. Coming up, we get the classic bath scene where Freddy's trying to cop a feel, or maybe just kill her, give or take. During the bath, Freddy's peep show is ruined by Nancy's mom, but he still manages to pull Nancy 20,000 leagues under the tub, but she's saved once again by her mom. Now Nancy has a plan, which could work, which is for Glenn to watch her while she sleeps, just in case she needs woken up. Simple enough, right? Yeah. Nancy makes her way to Rod's jail cell in her dream, where she sees Freddy with him way after visiting hours. So Nancy calls for Glenn, but, yeah. Well, I guess it wasn't as simple as I thought. So Freddy decides to attack Nancy instead, but she's woken up by the worst thing, or best thing in this case, an alarm clock. Now Nancy and Glenn are on their way to Rod to save him from Freddy, but they're a little too late, seeing how Freddy manages to wrap a blanket around his neck and hang him. God, Freddy, brutal much? Nancy's mom decides to put her in a sleep hospital? I don't know what to call this place, where she's attacked again by Freddy, but after this dream she brings back a nice souvenir, Freddy's old gross hat. I guess for some reason now is the best time for Nancy's mom to finally admit that she knows something exactly what this dream killer is, and now she finally says something after two people have already died? Seriously? Fuck you, Mom. So I guess the best thing that Nancy could have done with this intriguing information is to stay awake for endless hours and hatch another terrible plan. She decides to bring Glenn back again for the plan because, he didn't, fuck up the first time or anything. Whatever. Her plan is to drag Freddy right out of her dream and Glenn to be there to knock him out. This can't be too hard, right? Right? So, of course, Glenn falls asleep, and for his stupidity, Freddy decides that his walls would look better in red. Seriously, Glenn, you didn't even make it to Nancy's house this time. Come on. So, after Glenn's killed, Nancy isn't giving up. She tells her dad to break into her house in about 20 minutes to get Freddy. But of course, her stupid fucking dad doesn't listen to her. So, Nancy sets up a bunch of traps that look like they came straight out of Acme from the Roadrunner cartoons to get Krueger. Whatever. The end is a pretty cool fake out, and that's A Nightmare on Elm Street for you. I enjoy this movie a lot, and if for some reason you haven't seen it, you're missing out. I give the movie a B+, only because I feel like some of the other movies in the series were a little bit better. But I'll see you guys later.